Simply Shemane is powered by Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider.
Welcome back to Simply Shemane. I'm so glad you're here. You know, a few months ago, I went down a rabbit hole and I discovered some dark things that have been happening in Hollywood and all over the world. My guest today is someone who has been an operative in helping rescue human trafficking victims. Eros Mackey is here to tell us his story and what goes into his operations. Eros is the founder and president of Adaptive Operations, a 501c3 organization. He's also a PhD candidate in criminal justice and homeland security and counter human trafficking petitioner. Eros, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Shemane. It's nice to be here with you.
I'm so glad you're here. When I first went down the rabbit hole, as I said, I really found out some things that were troubling and disturbing and really messed with my head. I don't know how you do what you do, but I'm grateful, and so many of us are grateful for what you do. Tell us about what you do.
Well, we focus on locating and extricating human trafficking victims. A lot of times it's mostly just focused on missing persons, but if we have somebody that is in a trafficking situation, then there's a lot of red tape we have to be able to get through. It's very difficult to navigate the laws. And here's the thing: human trafficking has been happening since Cain.
Yeah.
And so they've been doing it for a long time. They're passing their tradecraft down. And those of us that are countering it, we're relatively new. You know, there's people, 20 to even back 40 years ago that were doing kind of this modern day fighting human trafficking. But they were the real pioneers. But even now, those of us that are out here doing this work like I am, we're still pioneers. We're still learning as we go along, and we're finding that the trafficking networks are adapting. One of the specialty areas that I have focused on was recognizing or using future predictive models on knowing how the traffickers are going to react toward natural disasters.
And why do you think that makes a difference?
It absolutely does.
How so?
It provides a cover.
So you're saying, like, when there's a hurricane or something, for example, what happens?
Well, they will speed up the grooming process on the female, the young girl or the young boy that they're trying to manipulate. They're grooming them. They'll speed it up and they'll try to get that timing so that I'll just tell you, with Hurricane Harvey, I dialed into this and I saw what was happening, and I planned on being on the ground when the hurricane hit, and I immediately started keying in on who are the missing people, and we found that there were several girls that I was actually searching for that had made a new friend 2 weeks before the hurricane came in, and then right as a hurricane came, then that person really became very persuasive at, hey, come to a party or come with us, and right before the hurricane happened, that's when several of the girls were scooped up. And the families think, oh, well, I don't think they're missing. They're just with a friend. There's no cell phones aren't working. There's no communications happening.
They went away with a friend for a couple of days, and they're teenagers, and
they're likely holed up in with their friend's house right now. And then they don't find out for a few days that they're not with either of their friends, that they're actually missing. And so traffickers use those kind of cover for that. Now we're dealing with COVID-19.
So how does that affect trafficking?
back in March, I had created a message and sent it out there saying that that I felt like there was going to be a spike in missing persons with COVID-19, especially with the lockdowns that came along. And there have been, and I can't tell you the exact numbers, we just don't really know, but there definitely, absolutely are traffickers that are sitting at home at their computers. They don't have to go to work. I heard one of your other conversations about the unemployment and how they're getting so much more money from that. There are traffickers that, in fact, the traffickers are everyday guys sometimes. You would not expect certain people to be traffickers. They have jobs, so they're affected the same way we are. If they're sitting at their computer, then they are able to spend that much more time to groom children. At the same time, children are not at school, so they're on their electronic devices or the computers. You know, the best thing that could happen is for families to come together at that time. Less electronics. Do family things. Come together as a family. Know them. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. And those kind of lockdowns tend to cause even more vulnerability for children to traffickers.
When I first found out about this, my heart ached for these children, and I can't imagine another human being doing the horrific things that pedophiles would do. How do you survive mentally? You know, you go through, first of all, describe whatever you can in whatever detail that's comfortable, what you do. The physical, like going to rescue, what is actually entailed, and then how do you separate how do you let go of that emotion at the end of the day? So go ahead, describe.
Okay, there's so much in there. Let me try.
I can talk to you forever. You know?
Let me try to fine tune it. Maybe take you along into a glimpse of what happens. First of all, human trafficking is so dark. Yeah. Of course. It's evil. Everybody knows it's evil. Even the traffickers know it's evil. And even traffickers themselves have been trafficked. And
you had once told me, because we've had many conversations, you'd once told me that wherever there's drug trafficking, there's human trafficking. And a trafficker can make more money on human trafficking than they can drugs. So human trafficking has almost become the new drug.
Mm-hmm. It has. And so to answer your question, it's important to understand the darkness of the trafficking world, and it's uncomfortable to talk about. And I don't want to sound too harsh with this, but I've gotten to the point where I really don't care how dark it sounds anymore, because I'm the one that is sitting with a family member or the parents, explaining to them the possibilities of what is going on and the time frames we have to locate their missing child.
And is it critical, and I know it is, but how critical is it to find them within 24 hours? You know, there's a lot of discussion on when students should return to the physical classroom and how virtual learning will get optimized, all that. But you know, it's really important right now, more than ever, to stay connected with those you care about. And why not get your wireless service from someone that shares your values? You know, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider. They have a huge promotion going on right now, so call right away to get their school days promotion. From now until September 12th, you can get a free phone or get a month free. That's so cool. You can build your own bundle with multi-line discounts. You can also get free activation and a free gift. And best of all, your school days dollars also support Students for Life, a nonprofit group that helps educate teens and young adults on pro-life choices. Call 972-PATRIOT or go to patriotmobile.com/Shemane. By the way, it's worth noting that Patriot Mobile was just rated #1 in customer satisfaction among all wireless providers. They have dependable nationwide 4G LTE networks, and all plans include unlimited talk and data. They have high-value, commitment-free plans to fit any budget. They have a U.S.-based sales and support team, and a portion of every dollar earned supports organizations fighting for First and Second Amendment rights, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Don't miss the School Days promotion going on now. My next guest is a wife, a homeschooling mother of 3, an author, an international missionary, White House faith leader, and the founder and CEO of Treasured Vessels Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Same, likewise.
Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, it actually started with my husband going to a men's breakfast, and they had speakers come in each week, and the speaker spoke about human trafficking, but it was, he started out with international human trafficking, which, being missionaries, we do see things overseas that we don't think could happen here. So we're like, okay. And then the speaker started talking about domestic human trafficking. And of course, it doesn't happen in the South in the Bible Belt.
Right.
But then when he brought the numbers home right here in our own backyards, he said you could just hear a pin drop. The men just leaned in to say, like, what are you talking about? This thing that we've never heard of, and sure enough, this isn't happening. There's no demand here for that. Therefore, there's no supply. And so we came home, brought home the brochure, and of course, did some reading up on it. But I'm in the middle of my career in medical device and wearing my mask every day, and raising a family, and just homeschooling, and it's like, what do you do? It's such a massive issue. And but the Lord really put it on my heart that I was to do something different. Didn't know that it had to do with human trafficking, but just to do something more. What was I called to do? What was outside of being a wife and a mother and all the things? And so I just went on this journey. I resigned from my career at a really high point and said, I'm just going to surrender to whatever it is that I was created to do. That was about an 11-month journey. Again, nothing had to do with human trafficking. And on a Friday night, I come to my husband and I said, I could do this, and he just kind of smiles like you're smiling at me now, like, oh, okay, honey, you could do any of those things. He said, but that's not it. He said, what are you going to do with your hands? And he's a builder, so he just, uses his hands. And he says, what are you going to do with your hands? And I said, I don't know, Lord, what am I going to do with my hands? And I woke up the next morning on a Saturday, and the Lord said, you will build an aftercare facility for girls rescued from sex trafficking. And I'm like, is that like a thing? Is that a need? That when we read about someone on the news and they've been recovered from a trafficking situation, where do they go?
Exactly.
So we started asking that question, and law enforcement, everybody and other nonprofits in this space that are doing the rescuing, that are doing the education and awareness, and they all kind of had the same response as, Alicia, there's just not a good option for someone that has been trafficked to receive the specific care that they need. Oftentimes it's long term, if going home isn't a safe option.
Right.
So that was kind of the confirmation, if you will, that he's a builder. I have a background in healthcare. So,
perfect.
Understanding mental health illness and mental health, and saying, okay, we're gonna do this. And I think it was probably good that I didn't know what I was getting into. Myself, I wasn't personally sexually abused or knew anybody that was, or knew anyone that was trafficked. So it's going on this journey to really understand the ones that you're serving, but to also understand how in the heck what's a 501c3?
Yeah, let's get past that.
You need
the business.
Yes,
part.
and you need a board. And I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
And all the things that you're just completely learning in this journey by faith of going, okay, I'm just be a good student, you know, and I was a good student for about 4 years. And we opened up our doors to start serving 7 months ago.
Wow. Well, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love that, how God just guides you.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes those are the best unplanned plans, are just, you know, going with the flow. So what does your daily life look like now, and what are the things that you need?
Oh, wow.
Lots of questions there.
That's a you know, so in serving this population, every day seems to be unique. So sometimes there's arguments within the home that we have a program director, we have a full-time therapist that's on staff, and then we also have residential staff that's there to support them. And sometimes there's doctor's appointments and a phone call to, hey, Alicia, could you come help support this heated moment in the home, or, you know, housing a bunch of young people.
Normal daily life stuff.
Yes.
But for these, are they mostly women?
So we are currently serving women, yes. So 18 to 24. One of our residents just had a baby. So we have a young person in our home on 4th of July. So we call him her freedom baby.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So in our second phase is to serve the minors. We have to have a specific license for that and a lot of other things in place. We're kind of cutting our teeth on the 18 to 24-year-olds, if you will. And then that 9 years old up to 17-year-old is our second phase.
Well, our previous guest, Eros, talked about how he would rescue the trafficked victims. And, you know, he had told me he's got to have that mindset that that's his job.
Yeah.
But then there was no other place for them to go. How many other facilities like yours are there around the United States?
So at one point, I think everybody had counted up about 350 physical beds that were available.
And that's not enough.
It's not enough. And when we have homeless shelters, we have domestic violence, and we have very kind of where we pigeonhole these unique survivors that need very specialized care, and just say, and this is the best that we have. And so for us, we knew we wanted to be very specific, and we also wanted to be focused on mental health as a cornerstone of our program, and not just kind of Jesus and a GED, or just get a job, it'll fix it. I mean, we really wanted to establish that safety and security, and give them all the tools that they need before they actually go out into the world and accomplish their dreams.
Right. And it's different. I love it that you talk about, daily life in anybody's daily life. You never know what kind of obstacles you're going to encounter, and surely with women between 18 and 24, there's going to be a lot. So what kind of resources do you need?
So we just had for example, we just had a van donated, because as we have now a car seat, and we have residents that outgrow a regular vehicle for transportation to equine therapy and to doctor's appointments and legal appointments. So we had a van donated, which was wonderful. However, we did not know that COVID was going to happen and all fundraising would be completely shut down. And unique to what we're doing is not just the awareness and the educational piece, but we are truly housing young women that would be otherwise homeless. So it's about, to be in our program, about $100 a day per girl. And that's, you just kind of go, oh, wow, okay. And then we're accessing food pantries, we're accessing Medicaid, but there's still all those other expenses that go into running a home and running an organization that has paid staff. I am a full-time volunteer. that was the direction that the Lord had for me in this journey. However, we do have 10 staff members and are growing.
And not everybody's going to be a volunteer.
That's right.
And it's difficult during this time, during the shutdown. How can people find jobs? How can people, what do you encourage your girls to do?
Well, our program doesn't include work currently. Our girls are going to college. They're finishing their GEDs.
Good.
One of our young ladies would like to speak as a survivor leader. So kind of training her up and teaching her what that might look like in a healthy way, that where she looks back and 25 years from now, and she's proud of what she said and how she told her story, and her children and those kinds of things. But But yeah, it's been, a lot of the grants that you apply for are now shifting their focus to COVID relief. And so it's just been pretty bleak as far as how to fundraise, getting creative on different ways. People are creating Facebook fundraisers for their birthday but it has been incredibly challenging and very kind of sometimes paralyzing to say, how are we going to do this and sustain keeping our girls safe and healthy and not vulnerable to go back to their trafficker, because that's the only option.
And a lot of people don't realize that is a consideration.
Yeah.
How many girls go back?
Oh, the recidivism rate's about 80 to 90%.
Seriously?
If we're seeing a shift at about 12 months. That is how long the recovery for complex trauma. With our program, we've implemented metrics to really measure and see how are they successfully completing the program, how are they moving along in their activities of daily living, showering, all the things that we do regularly, but also progressing on the scales as far as anxiety and depression. And so we can take this program and we can duplicate it and go across the country and add to those bed counts, but have a really something that has measurable outcomes to we know that works.
Right. Wow. Well, God bless you for doing what you're doing, for taking the time out of not just your busy schedule, your life, for dedicating your life to this, and it involves your whole family. Really, when you're at work or volunteering your time, you're taking time away from your family. A lot of people don't realize that. So we're going to link all of your information to this show, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Stick around. We're going to change everything drastically because we've got happy hour coming up. Will you stick around for that?
Sure.
Okay.
The self-care.
Yes, self-care is very important. We'll be right back.
My true passion here at Senior Care Michigan is helping clients organize their financial plans so they can make it through retirement years, making life a lot easier on them.
We do make sure that your assets are going to be protected at Senior Care Michigan.
It was my calling to help a lot of families, retirees, straighten out difficult problems.
Let us help you achieve the retirement that you deserve. Call us today to get started at 810-658-6722 or visit us online at scmichigan.com.
Patriot Mobile was built on the values of Americans. We are humbled, recently achieving the highest customer satisfaction among all wireless providers. As America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider, you'll receive great performance, and we'll donate a portion of every dollar earned to support your values. Try a wireless company that really cares about you and your values. Call us today, mention Shemane, and get our best promotion.
Well, it's another tough day on the job, and I'm sorry to have you guys stick around and do this with me, but I appreciate it.
I mean, every week it gets rougher. We do not have to come back doing this every week.
So we do actually have fun doing this, as you can tell. And we have Ray from Wild Wine Life. And Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure and an honor.
Well, Ray, what do we got here? What are we doing?
So last week we were in Sonoma County with wines. Now we're up in Lake County, California with Shedhorn Cellars. It's mom, dad, and two daughters running the winery, small production, and we're going with something different to show you the wide breadth of wines in the wine world. I always tell people, cheat on your wine, stay loyal to your spouse.
All right,
good one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around.
Yes.
Okay, now you're the wine connoisseur expert. So what are your thoughts?
Smelling it. I feel like there's pears. There's some, or we'll see. I don't know if it's some pears, some apricot.
This is sweeter. What do you think?
Well, I think you had Chardonnay earlier. I love a good Sauv Blanc. I usually prefer New Zealand. I love those grapefruit notes, but this is really nice. Really, really nice.
That's why I chose this. It's something that's different other than the New Zealand that you see out there. You get different tropical notes, but a lot of lemongrass. It's very fruity, but it's dry. It's all stainless steel. It's not buttery at all. And it has a nice little minerality to it on that back end. So it's very easy to drink on the patio by the pool or just while you're cooking.
You're so good, Ray, because every time you mention something, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I know there's something else there, but when you said lemongrass, that's it. And I honestly get just as much from breathing, smelling it in. Honestly, like that helps me. Tell us a little bit about that, the smelling and why that is important for taste testing.
Most of your taste comes from smell or aromatics. Like I tell people, you can smell apple in a wine, but what kind of apple? So like when you're cooking, actually pause and smell the different things that you're cutting up, because then you can pick up those specific things. It's all about memory when you're smelling wine, and then just building that aromatic library, as I call it.
Okay, so what do you think?
I really like it. I do love Sauvignon Blancs. That's probably what I drink the most. But it's really, really easy to drink. It's very fresh.
What do you think?
Oh, I like it. I like it more than I thought, just because of the region and where it's coming from and what I'm used to. So I'm cheating on my region.
You're cheating. It's better to cheat on your region than it is on your spouse, right?
Kind of cheating that's allowed.
Yes. What do you think, Sarah?
I really like it. I'm not a huge white wine person, but when I do drink it, I really like the drier wines. So I really like it.
I do too.
Nice. Awesome.
Okay, we've got more work to do
next?
here. What do we got next? And what are we going to do?
We have to get those glasses. Red. That's the one with the antlers that says non-typical. It's the tan label.
No,
the non-typical.
Yes.
Yeah. The one with they both have antlers. They all have antlers on them, right?
Yes, they are.
Yes. The owner of the winery is an avid outdoorsman. He elk hunts, deer hunts, and if you look at the antlers on the non-typical, that is actually from a elk that he harvested, and that made it onto the label.
Do girls know what non-typical
now,
means?
Wine, I call
no.
Non-typical means.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ray. As a hunter, I know, but go ahead.
Oh.
If I recall correctly, non-typical means it is not the typical set of antlers that they would for a Boone Croc.
Well, also non-typical. There are sometimes, I just learned this as being married to a hunter for 31 and a half years. Sometimes antlers have dropped down tines because they could have been hit on one side of their body by a car or gotten in a fight or whatever, and that causes their growth to be non-typical.
Wow, that's interesting.
You learned something new.
Yeah, there you go. Cheers. I love it.
Cheers. 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 Okay, what do you think, girls?
Smells good.
Now, this I call a comfort red wine, that if you don't know what kind of red wine you want to drink, this is a safe red wine to go with. It is a blend of Petit Syrah, Zinfandel, Barbera, and Petit Verdot. It has a lot of big backbone and structure. You get a lot of berries and spice to it, but it has a nice, soft mouth feel that goes with a wide variety of foods.
Good.
It's good.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I think blends to me are the easiest to drink if you're not a big red wine drinker, because they're very smooth. But I do have a question. With red wines, some people like them chilled and some people like them room temperature. What is the
chilled?
I personally would put mine in the fridge, which is probably a really big faux pas. But I like mine chilled. So what is the norm, or what are you supposed to do with red wine?
Okay, I always, like I've said before, drink it how you enjoy it. I've seen some people drop ice cubes in their red wine, and if that makes you happy, then do that. But as far as chilled, think more cellar or cave temperature in the 60s, not that 70, 80 degree temperature that might be in the house, but 65 degree temperature range, give or take a few degrees for your red wines.
Just chilled a little bit. That's how I like it too. Okay, what do we got next? Do we have more glasses?
We only have 2, so
Okay,
somebody's
so
going to have to drink.
I can.
I'll finish mine.
Here,
I'm almost done.
Here, Diana, go for it.
I'm good. I think we have a couple extras
But I
over
have
there.
2
Yeah.
glasses over here.
Yeah,
so
I have one here.
I can do these.
This will not go to waste. I can assure you.
We'll
that.
use this one for Shemane.
I
Okay,
just
we're
want
doing
to
the
make sure I
cab
did
now,
everything.
right?
What are we
The
doing?
cab.
Oh, we got another
Cab.
Is it you? Oh, for me. Okay. Oh, okay.
Lots of glasses
So
now.
this is a cab. What was the last one?
That
It was a
the
blend.
blend.
Just a regular blend. Oh, you want that?
I'll do mine class.
Okay. Pass that one.
Oh, I need to finish the red.
What are we doing?
Too many glasses now.
Musical glasses.
Am I double fisting or?
Just put one of them down.
No, wait.
How many of these happy hours?
I know, right? It's just a
They
little
don't
bit,
know.
right?
They don't know how many we've
Okay, so
actually done.
Ray, walk
Wait.
us through this.
Go ahead while we're
What do we got going on here?
This one, you're going to get a lot of nice red, bright fruit flavors. The soil that this is from up in Lake County is very similar to Oakville in Napa, but you're not paying those kind of prices. And believe it or not, a lot of fruit from Lake County ends up in Napa wine. So you're getting a great value with this wine. It has that big weight to it. You get the dark fruit, you get some red fruit, but the tannins are soft and silky and seductive. I always say wine should be seductive. It should lure you into when you just fall in love with it.
What do you think,
Sounds very
girls?
sexy.
What do you think?
I like it. I like the spice of it. And you had me at Oakville. So, and then you had me at less expensive.
I'm with you on that.
Because it seems like the more wine you drink, the more sophisticated your palate becomes, the more the price point goes up. And that's hard on a Tuesday.
And a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday.
And then, of course, Sunday night dinner.
My husband doesn't drink wine much, but sometimes at hunting camps, people will break out a nice bottle of wine. And so when he comes home from the hunts and he tries to drink wine that we have at the house, he's like, no, I don't like that. I'm like, well, what are you drinking at these camps? And he's like, oh, I find out from whoever the guides are, the hunting camps, they're like $1,000 bottle of wines. I'm like, oh,
Well,
sorry,
there you
honey. Well, we can't do that. So, what do you
This is
think?
my favorite.
Yeah?
I really like it.
What do you think?
I actually, me too.
It's very
It really
smooth.
is, yeah.
Is this any Pinot Noir at all?
No,
What is
Cabernet.
just straight
Cab.
Cabernet?
This is really good.
Cabernet
Very
with a little
good.
Petit Verdot for backbone.
Okay, so girls, the question of the day, what's your favorite? So out of all 3 wines, what's your favorite?
Oh, it's so hard because it's just hot outside. And so lately I've been drinking more Sauv
Right.
Blanc. So
More white, right?
Yeah.
and I like changing it up from my normal New Zealand to bringing it back, to California. So I'm going to say Sauv Blanc.
And I'm normally the Sauv Blanc, but I really like this. The Cabernet. Yeah.
What do you think?
So I think also the Sauv Blanc, just because it is hot out. And so my mindset is like rosé, white wines. Like Sauv Blanc. Yeah. So yeah.
I typically drink more rosé, but yeah, I like them all.
Can't
I like them all.
So it can make a rosé. Just take the red.
There you
and
go.
mix it
There
with
you
the
go.
white.
I'm gonna make my
soda
rosé.
water.
Okay,
We're in the
while
mixology class.
While I'm making my rosé, would you guys stick around for our funny pet videos?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, Derek, roll the funny pet videos.
Our dogs are like family to us. Honestly, the highlight of my day is being able to spend time with them. No matter what kind of mood I'm in, bad hair, they don't care. And they always make me smile. Except, of course, when they don't feel good. Rough Greens is 100% natural, highly concentrated nutrition from fruits and vegetables with essential vitamins and minerals, probiotics, no GMOs, added corn, or artificial ingredients. And you know what? My dogs love it. I became a customer before they sponsored this show. If you want your dogs to have better joint health, better digestion, and more energy, add rough greens to their food and keep your furry friends a part of your family for a long, long time. Use promo code Shemane for 10% off any purchase.
Boy, I'm getting myself in trouble here, but honestly, I didn't drink that much. They're just a taste. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Simply Shemane. Honestly, it's not always like this, but once in a while we do a little happy hour and we share what we find, and we love wine and we love to sample it. So I hope you do too. Thanks again for joining me on Simply Shemane. Make sure you watch every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. There's going to be lots more to come. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye.